The ultra high net worth individuals are getting nervous. And when they get nervous, they start taking some decisions which may appear to be rooted in common sense. But I have a question for them, and I'll ask that question at the very end of this monologue. First, I want to share with you something that's going on, a big trend, if you will. Gold is moving towards Singapore. Why Singapore, you ask? Well, what Singapore has done is they have started building vaults that are capable of storing large amounts of gold, silver, metals, what have you. And there are many other reasons why Singapore has become an attractive destination. I have a small infographic to share with you. I'll tell you all the different things that's going on. But the question that comes uppermost in my mind, I'll ask that, and you can guess your answers by way of comments at the very end. So, Singapore. Why Singapore, you might say? Well, the first thing is that Singapore is looked as being the equivalent of Switzerland in the Far East. They think that if the Western countries such as Russia, Europe, and even America, if they are going to start fighting amongst themselves, then Singapore is sufficiently far away for people to trust their hard-earned money in the form of gold bars, silver bars, platinum bars, what have you, in these climatically controlled, completely safe and having high amount of security. There are two names that come to mind. One is called as the Freeport and the other one is called the Reserve. These are two entities that give you high security, climate control, insured storage, and it comes with professional custody services such as, you want to make sure that everything is okay. You can also do complete audit trails, everything is available, something that people joke about Fort Knox having not been audited for the last 50-60 years. So the massive flight to safety is moving physical gold from east to west. Where is it coming from? The origin is either the United States or Switzerland or the United Kingdom. These are the three places from where it's coming. It also is coming regionally from Japan, Thailand, and Australia. These are also, starting to move into Singapore. Well, Japan is now getting nervous that a certain bully in their backyard is going to come after them. Well, Taiwan hasn't started yet, so that's another interesting thing. Also, viewers, this is not the first time this has happened. When the clouds were rumbling over Hong Kong, many ultra high net worth individuals from Hong Kong moved their assets to Singapore. In fact, many from the princelings of China who had actually parked their assets abroad have also, it is believed, moved their assets to Singapore. Okay, so the destination is Singapore. That's great. Now let's see why Singapore. Three critical drivers are pushing investors to move their vaults. Number one, neutrality. Investors fear Western sanctions. Singapore offers Switzerland-like political neutrality. There's good reason for this. For example, recently, the Microsoft CEO, Brad Smith, said, this is to Seattle, if you impose 5% special tax on those people who are earning more than $125,000 a year, which means practically everybody working at Microsoft, then I am going to move the headquarters to Vancouver. This is the socialist-minded governments, whether it is Washington State or Portland or even California. For example, Gavin Newsom is mulling an exit tax on companies who may want to leave California. God damn it, why don't you fix the laws of the state? Instead of trying to force people to pay more even as they leave, they're kicking you out, man. I mean, these are all the reasons why people are saying, okay, I don't want any kind of hiccups here. I don't want to be charged anything for my assets for which the government had nothing to do with it. You earned it, you parked it in whether it is UK or Switzerland, and now the government wants a piece of the action because they are all socialists. Remember guys, this is back to the same thing. Socialism works as long as you have other people's money to play with. Once that runs out, there is no more socialism. So what's going to happen, in my opinion, is that people from UK especially, who have been putting their money, these are all the really ultra rich, I mean these could be also many members of the deep state, they would be parking it in Singapore. There are other reasons also. It's tax free, 0% capital gains tax and 0% GST on investment precious metal. That means if you convert your fortune into precious metals and put it there, then you don't have to pay any taxes on that. Plus, facilities, like I told you, the reserve, 180,000 square foot vault and the Freeport. Stability, political stability amidst global polarization and uncertainty. Well, Singapore is a benevolent dictatorship, is all I can say. It says it's got a government and all that. That's all BS. If you look underneath the carpet a little bit, you know that it's sort of a benevolent dictatorship. Now, the impact of all this is there has been a 200% increase in gold bar sales at major vaults year on year. The refining hub, Singapore, is also processing record imports from Switzerland, converting large bars into Asian preferred kilobars. We'll give you a bunch of reference links on why this trend is beginning to accelerate. There's also another trend of money moving from Europe to United States also. But United States, it's not tax-free. There are some states that might be tax-free, but overall, you still have to pay corporate tax. That's not zero. So there is some pressure to move stuff out from here to Singapore. But I want everybody to take a step back and think about what could be happening. Well, you know that Hong Kong was supposed to be independent for 99 years or 97 years. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was a fairly big number. China didn't wait. They moved into Hong Kong and they have completely annexed it for all practical purposes. There are a few things that might still be operating like the old Hong Kong style, like the one that was set up by the Britishers. But the point is, China has more or less gobbled up Hong Kong. I'm hearing that Macau, which used to be a Portuguese-run entity, which used to also have some special benefits, is no longer that. And now that China is eyeing Taiwan, let's play this thing out further. Let's say it gets into Taiwan, it occupies it. I mean, it shouldn't happen, but who knows? US may be spread far too thin on all these different frontiers. So you may not be able to come to Taiwan's rescue. Will India go and help them? Because you need somebody who's really big to stand up to the bigger bully. So be that as it may, after Taiwan, where do you think China is going to turn its attention to? Because remember, I told you, ultra billionaires from Hong Kong moved all their assets to Singapore. Some of the people who may not be in line with the current dispensation in the CCP all have their fortunes in Singapore. Where do you think they're going to turn their attention to next? Singapore, in my opinion. Well, this is deep state we are talking about. These ultra high net worth individuals. Maybe they've already struck a deal with China saying that, look, you can park your money too and we won't ask you any questions of something of that nature. But be that as it may, this is an interesting development and we'll be tracking that and we'll be letting you know what is happening. And the important takeaway here is, what do you do if things start going wrong in Singapore? After all, England was supposed to be as safe haven as any other place. And it was that for many years, but no longer. Same thing could be said about Singapore a few years later. When Singapore, of course, Singapore is a city state, it doesn't have that many needs, but we also know that they are very vulnerable. The most radicalized area of Malaysia is right across the border. Southern Malaysia is where the most radicalization has taken place. So there are lots of challenges too. People may have to think this thing through a little bit and decide what they want to do. At this point of time, looks like Singapore is an attractive destination for precious metals. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.